Alright. Like I said, I think I'll take these valves out here. I gotta take this little cover off. This feels like it hasn't been off in a while. Got a little washer there. I'm trying to take this off. These got little gaskets in them. I'm trying to take this off without running the gasket. Oh yeah, there we go. And you got this little cover in here. I don't know if you guys could see that. I guess you might call it a splash guard or something. There we go. Huh. Looks pretty clean in there. Let me get you guys off of there and we'll take a look in there. Alright, that actually looks pretty good in there. Let me give you a little light. How's that? Yeah, that this little spring here, that's like a breather. Let's call it a PVC valve. That lets the crankcase breathe. And the springs and everything is clean, you know. I mean, there's no sludge or anything. So let me take them valves out and we'll clean them up. Alright, I took the valves out here. I didn't film it because it's a lot easier to show you how they come out once they're already out. But here's that, I call it a PVC valve. It's just a breather. But that's easy enough to get out of the way. So you can get to these things here. I'll show you how to. I'll put that back in and show you how it came out. Alright, let me give you some light here. Alright, that little breather sits on that hole there. And all it does, you see them two little tangs? You stick them two little tangs in the hole, like that, and then the spring just goes on top of it. I'm doing this left-handed, and hopefully it works. There you go. And the spring just goes in the bottom of that stud, and that stays like that. And there are the tappets in there. You know, you can't move them. You can get them out from the bottom, but they don't get in your way. And then the springs just hang on to these little titties hanging down. They're your valve guides. But anyway, let me throw you up on the tripod here, and I'll show you how these things come out. Best design ever. Alright, you don't have to worry about marking these because they're already marked. This one has an X on the top. That means exhaust. And this one on the back says IN for intake, so you don't have to worry about getting these mixed up. And intake is always a soft spring, exhaust is always the hard one. But anyway, it's the best design ever. I don't know why they ever did away with it. Are you still in frame there? These have a hole in the bottom of them, and these come through the top of the cylinder. And let me see, this is the intake. So what happens is when this comes down through the top, the valve guide, you just put the spring on, and then this keeper, you know, with the dimple sticking up towards there, holds the ring in half in place. And then you just got these little pins. And then when you release the tension on the springs, it holds that in, and ain't no way that's going to come out. It's that simple. So when you're in there, you get a screwdriver. This here's a file, but you get a screwdriver, and you just lift that up, pull the pin out, and you're done. It's that simple. Like I say, gotta thank the guy that ever designed that thing. The guy was a genius. Let me clean these up, hit them on a wire wheel. Then I'm probably gonna lap them, because let me take you off of this again. Okay. I cleaned this up a little bit, and it's the piston don't have any move at all, so that's good. This engine turned out to be an excellent engine so far, and this might be the reason for not so much compression. You know, there was a little carbon in the exhaust here. Might have been holding it open a little bit, but not much. So I mean, the seats are perfect, you know. and that might have been holding up enough to give it a little breathing room. But anyway, we're gonna lap them in place, clean it up, and lap them, and there should be no problems with that. All right, I said I wasn't gonna mess with this spark plug wire, but I couldn't live with myself, so I'm gonna take it out. Like I say, these things aren't soldered. It's just they're just bent around there. I think the end of the wire is soldered, but they just stick in a hole there. So look how cruddy that is. So I'm gonna clean that up. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to live myself. Plus, you guys wouldn't let me hear the end of that one. So let me clear that up and do it right. All right, I degreased that and cleaned it up. Got it shine like a new penny now. Now we'll just send this up through the bottom, bend it over, and then crimp it in place. Bend it all the way under there. The more contact, the better. Okay. There we go. Maybe I'll try and get it a little tighter. Alright, we don't have to worry about that, right? We could all sleep better now. Alright, I got everything cleaned up here, and we're going to lap the valves. But let me show you what we got here. See, it's not bad at all. Nice and shiny and everything like that. But what we're going to do is when we lap them, we're going to get like a dull ring around there. Be about a 32nd of an inch wide, and that's what we want. And that'll seat them both. Alright, I cleaned the head up. I didn't get crazy with it. I just cleaned most of the carbon off it. But getting back to this, I should have kept the camera on there. Here you go, focused in. You want to make sure which valve you're using. Because you see right there that NI, that's actually IN. That's for intake. And then, like I mentioned before, this one here doesn't have anything on the inside. Well, that's some kind of marking, but anyway, on the outside you got the X, and that X is for exhaust. Let me bring you over here. Oh, well, we're gonna be using this. You need Briggs and Stratton lapping compound. No, you don't. You use any lapping compound. I just happen to have that. And these are so nice. I shouldn't have to use the Coarse. On the bottom here is Coarse, and on the top is fine. But I'm going to use both of them anyway. But let's go over here to the engine. Alright, now these valves are identical, and you can mix them up. That's why they're labeled, because you want a mating surface. And here's your exhaust pipe, that goes to this one, and over here's your intake, that goes to that one. That's where the carburetor goes. So you want to make sure, like I say, they're interchangeable, but once you start mating surfaces, you want to keep them the same. So that's just a little tip there. All right, let's start lapping. These seats are actually pretty close to perfect. I really probably could get away without lapping them, but I'm going this far, and it only takes a couple minutes. So let me throw you guys up on a tripod. Hold on. Alright, I got the intake valve here, and I got it on my suction cup. And I'm just going to put this is the Coarse. Really don't need much of this stuff. You can actually hear how coarse it is. Yeah, you want to make sure you don't get any down in the valve guide here. You actually hear it. I forgot to mention, you want to make sure your valve is bottomed out. And that one, where you see it's up now. You want to make sure it's bottomed out. You'll know immediately if it's not. Okay, like I said, these weren't that bad, so this really isn't going to take much. Alright, let me clean that up and we'll put some fine in there. Alright, you can see how it's got like a matte finish. That's what you want. And I don't know if you can see on this thing, but there's that line I was telling you about. And that's what you want. That tells you that you're seating all the way around. And if there are any imperfections, you can actually see them. They'll be dark. But okay, this is the fine now. This'll make everything perfectly smooth in there. This will sound a little different. You know, you could hear it, but it's not really grinding and digging out like the other one was. This is more of a polish right now. Sounds like it's pretty good. Now let me clean this out and see what it looks like. I'm starting to lose my suction cup here anyway. There we go. Center that up. Alright, let's see what that looks like. Alright, there you go. That's all it took. You see around here you got that nice matte finish. Whoa! Almost lost our valve there. You had a nice matte finish there. And then over here, like I told you, we're gonna want to get that matte finish. You know, like a 30-second. And that's about what that is. So that one's done. Now I'm gonna do the other one, and you guys don't have to see that because it's the same procedure. So let me get to that one. All right, yeah, they both cleaned up really nice. So let me put them back in, put the springs back in, and we'll be done with that. Then we put the head back on. All right. I got the valves back in here. You see them going up and down. I lubed them up, put a little oil on them. But if you forget to do that, if you forget to oil them, you still have a chance. You can squirt in here. You know, you never have enough oil. And then right there, will get that. And then turn the other one. Get a little squirt in there. And hopefully you got it on the stem, but like I say, yeah, I did that beforehand, so I really didn't need that, but I didn't oil this yet. And then I'm just gonna wipe that around the cylinder. Alright, let's put the head on, and then we'll go find a carburetor and gas tank. Alright, I cleaned up the shroud and put that on. I wasn't going to, but I figured it's only 2 bolts. And I found a gas tank and a carburetor out in the shed. I just grabbed the cleanest one I seen. And the inside of this one's pretty clean. So I'm going to put some gas in it and we'll give it a try. Cleaning and lapping them valves really made a difference because before I could turn it with no problem, but I can't turn this without a lot of effort. When it hits that compression stroke, I can turn it, but once it hits that compression stroke, I gotta put a lot of effort into it with my hand. So that was worth it. Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear it, but when I turn this engine back, you could really hear when you get it on that stroke. So it's got a real lot of compression now. Alright, let's take it outside and see if we can start this bitch. Alright, I pulled it through a couple times and put my hand on the choke to get a little suction, so let's see what it does. It's good, the spring here and everything's not hooked up, so I might have to fiddle around with it a little bit. Let's see what we got here. good little engine. Seems to run pretty good. Chugging right along. Looks like he's burning pretty clean too. No oil or nothing. Sounds like he's only running on one cylinder though. Alright, let me shut her off. Alright, we're probably going to get rid of the flywheel and the magneto and stuff and put a big flywheel on there. That'll slow it down even more. Because we want to keep it, try and keep it running cool. So, alright, so we got a good engine here. We got a good engine to start with, so. Let me bring this in there and start building it. Alrighty, enough of this.